Hey, it's Jeff, and don't cut yourself because it's about to get edgy. As we start this one off, it looks like Liko's really hesitant to leave Mount Nevera. You kinda get the sense that she has unfinished business with Grusha and is struggling to let the loss go. Meanwhile, we have Spinel using Behem to give himself front row seats to Liko's misery. He's even being aided by that traitorous Gokadex. By his side is the Rockoum, meaning that he managed to finesse it from Fried's old place of work after all. Spinel and Blackie definitely have their plans in store for it too. Back with the kids, we can see them trudging forward to their next destination, and we can also see Liko putting on a brave face. Liko doesn't want to have to concern her friends, and that's a real burden to have to carry. Florigato's got something to carry too, and it's the Liko that she's heave-hoing up the mountain. It feels so sincere to see that brave face come down when it's just Liko and the thoughts that she's getting distracted by, which Spinel deviously takes advantage of by separating her from the group. I get so creeped out by the idea of Spinel puppet mastering life behind the scenes like this. What if every exit I've ever missed was Spinel? Shuddering thought, but in the area as well is Amethio, who's got a lot to keep track of, keeping eyes on both Liko and Spinel. And like a moth to a flame, Liko ends up bumping right into him. By this point, she's familiar with their game and instinctually goes to protect Terapagos, whom Amethio wastes no time in attempting to capture. So, Blades makes an appearance and this battle isn't half bad. For one, we have Liko who's determined not to take another L, and she actually holds her own against Amethio. This goes so much better than their first encounter where practically all Liko could do was pray. Since this girl's suddenly holding her own, Amethio does not waste any time with terastalizing, which really seems to shake Liko up. While this battle becomes more and more one-sided, Liko seems to have lost her terrestrial confidence. It almost gets to pretty dire straits, but in a twist, Spinel interferes their match with some friendly fire. Surely immensely confused, Liko's put back on defense. But there's no preparation for what Spinel's about to do next. When he uncaps the Rockoum, it has a vicious effect on the Pokémon. Not just that, it looks like a power-up as well, allowing Umbreon to take out Ceruledge with ease. So then, could we imagine that Lako is a place full of hyper-aggressive and powerful Pokémon? Because yes, please. Plus, what looks like out of Terapagos' control, the Rockoum also causes it to transform. And it looks like this transformation is exactly what Spinel wanted to see, overwhelming as it may be. Again, it just makes me imagine what power might be unleashed once we eventually reunite Terapagos and Lucius. Side note, I kinda love how Liko just grabs him after that, like, alright, now that that's over. So, mysteriously, it seems like Spinel had gotten what he arrived for and he decided to dip out. But rather than run off to alert the others, Liko actually trails them right into a cave. Amethio warns her to get out, and there's a real tinge of concern there. For whatever reason, he's been pretty consistent with not wanting to see Liko actually come into any harm. Although our growingly stubborn protagonist refuses, because of course she wants to know more about Terapagos and what's happening to it. They cat and mouse hold Spinel for a minute until he manages to trap them inside. Yet again, he is one step ahead of them, continuing to orchestrate behind the scenes. Anytime you've banged your toe into the couch, Spinel. After actively putting Amethio and Liko's lives at risk, Spinel runs into Agate. What he appears to be working on is a way to harness both Terapagos and terrestrialization's power. The explorers also seem to be working outside of Gibeon's full knowledge. Kinda makes you wonder where Gibeon's priorities are in comparison to the rest of them. Back inside, Amethio and Liko are squeezed in pretty tight. Perhaps because Liko has her mons with her, or maybe she just doesn't find Amethio too dangerous at this point, but she doesn't seem all that uncomfortable. The bigger focus is clearly on Terapagos and why he is so hot and bothered. After a decent chunk of time's gone by, Roy alerts Fried that Liko's still not made it back. So he decides to come after them, which gets my Fried versus Spinel senses tingling. However, despite help being on the way, the kids cannot relax yet. Sango and Onyx come face to face with them and finally reveal their identities. There is a real sense of threat coming from them too that hasn't been felt in a while. It just all starts to boil over, especially when they challenge Roy and Dot to a battle. Really great stuff here. I think what sets this episode aside for me is the atmosphere. There's a sense of danger and mystery that hasn't been so palpable in a while. I just can't help but wonder what exactly caused Spinel and Amethio to be at odds with each other. It's so hard to tell with each of them having their own agendas, which Liko gets dragged into both. Liko's journey is such an interesting one too as well, since she's more of a reactive force. Things that she can't foresee happen around her, and she reacts accordingly. It's so neat too to see how much bolder and braver her choices have become. Next episode seems to be a strong build on top of this, and it's got me genuinely hyped. This one, I'd give a B.